Hello, and welcome to the Ownership Shift. My name is Erica. I'm owner of EDM Consulting, and I am going to be sharing with you some tips and tricks to taking back control of your business. So, this workshop was specifically designed for you as a business owner. Every day, I work with small business owners just like yourself, and I discovered that many face similar challenges within their business that we often don't get to talk about. So the reason why I created this series is because I've worked with lots of small business owners over the years, and I noticed that there's a common trend for every single one of the clients that I've worked with. They aren't struggling because of the skill or the will. They're mostly struggling because their decisions happen reactively, their standards slowly start to lower, and their follow through becomes inconsistent. So, what that means is that we get so overwhelmed and so busy that a lot of things start to kind of fall out of alignment with what our ultimate goals are. So, today we're going to talk about the major roadblocks that could be preventing you from success and then also learning how to overcome them. So, I'm going to go over three different strategies for these issues that I've commonly seen amongst my clients. So, one of them is poor decision making. So, how the daily decisions that you're making shape the direction of your business. And then also raising your standards. I notice that a lot of people, as we go through business, we start out thinking that we want it one way, and then slowly we start to lower our standards just based off of various factors that are happening that are out of our control. And then lastly is consistency. I know we hear this a lot and it's pretty cliche, but consistency truly is the key to success. I've learned that with my own business as well as my health. So I'm going to talk a lot about that today as well. So, with all that, let's go ahead and get started. So, the first thing we're talking about is decision making. The small decisions are truly what can kill business owners. It's a big misconception that there's just one thing that might happen in your business one day that will cause you to have to close. But the truth is, it's a slow bleed. So it's things that are slowly happening month after month that aren't being corrected or addressed that can ultimately cause a business to fail. So some of those things could look like taking clients that aren't the right client for you, saying yes when you probably should say no. So basically, your plate is too full and you decide to say yes to something, or maybe it's a bad agreement that you shouldn't have accepted. Spending time on low impact work. This is huge, especially for solopreneurs that don't feel like they're in the space to be able to hire someone at the time. So they kind of do everything, but there is a room to delegate. You just have to figure out what that is. Extra revisions and quick favors for clients. So this is a huge thing. Every little bit of time that you're taking additional on something that you shouldn't be is lost time and lost revenue. Reacting instead of planning. That's huge. A lot of business owners don't have an actual plan. They're kind of just reacting to things as they go, which cause a lot of extra work when you could just take the additional time to plan at the beginning and then have a solution before things start getting crazy. And then lastly, disorganized workflows. So again, unless you have systems and processes in place for a lot of things that come up in your business, you'll find yourself having to basically um, recreate the wheel whenever something bad happens. So you really want to try to have a strategized solution for each issue that could arise at any time. So one of the major ones that I wanted to point out of all of those things is the fact that business owners at heart, yes, we enjoy running a business, but a lot of times we have just a helpful nature about us. We started our business because we wanted to help people. We wanted to do the craft. We wanted to do the service. We wanted to just do all of the things. And sometimes we overgive or overcommit to our clients or our friends or our family at home. So I wanted to talk about how this could show up for you as a business owner. And for example, for myself at home, a lot of times earlier in my business, becoming an entrepreneur, it's a lot of work and it takes a lot of stress and pressure to just run your business. And then you also have to deal with home. Like for myself, I'm a mom of three boys as well. And what I realized is that I was not asking for help. I was stressing myself out because I thought I had to do everything within my business and then also had to take care of everything at home, when all I really need to do is just ask my spouse or even my kids for a little bit of support to help me so I had greater bandwidth to run my business as well as take care of things at home. Within your business, you want to make sure that you're not solving problems that your clients didn't ask you to do. Again, at the beginning of my business, I found that I was doing all of this research and all of this extra work based off of my own findings or problems that I felt like they had, but I didn't necessarily address them with my clients to prioritize what made the most sense to them to work on. Therefore, I spent all of this extra time doing work that wasn't necessary. I'm sure you can find an area of your business where it's similar, where you're taking times to make these extra steps when they're just not truly necessary to the ultimate goal of the business or service or product that you're providing your client. And then last, in volunteering. So whether it is like a networking group or additional support group, or you're on the PTA, you are a problem solver as a business owner. It's just one of those natural traits and qualities that we have, is to solve problems. But typically, when you volunteer to solve a problem, you're also volunteering to be the one putting that solution into place. So just really be careful about how much you're trying to take the lead on things and allow other people to step up. And you can still provide your help, but you don't have to be the primary person executing on the solution. So, daily decisions is about asking for help, knowing when to say no, and knowing when your plate is too full. So, make those decisions daily, and you will see that you'll get hours back into your week. Next, I want to share about the 80/20 rule. This is very common within business. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about it, but it's just very interesting and it's very accurate as well. So 20% of activities create 80% of your results, and then 20% of your clients will create 80% of your revenue. So, why does this matter to us? This is important to us because it means that we spend a majority of our day doing things that are not actually moving the needle in our business. And this is so important to understand and take time to analyze what you're doing daily and the specific tasks and the results that they bring to your business. So, what I recommend doing is identifying your 20%. So, what that means is you're going to take time and write down your top three clients that produce the most revenue, the top three activities that drive the most results for you, and the three things that waste the most time within your day. Now, that's going to be difficult, especially for the three things that are the most time wasting, because you also want to make sure that you are reviewing everything within a day over a few day period so that you can understand the specific tasks that may be wasting time. But this is critical because you can see exactly what clients are making you the most money. And at the end of the day, it makes sense to focus on the clients that are bringing you the most revenue instead of trying to think of new ways to bring in new clients to bring in that revenue. It's much easier to support clients that you currently have instead of trying to work and gain additional clients. And then also the activities that drive the most results. So this is very specific to like your marketing activities, your prospecting activities, doing things like this, workshops, like what things are actually driving the results, because those are where you should spend your time. Anything that's not driving results, you want to try to omit from your calendar or find a way to delegate. All right, and moving on to standards. So, what standards do you have in your business? When we talk about standards, a lot of times that's something that an employer employee relationship would have. And a lot of times, as owners, I feel like this is overlooked. A lot of people don't think about what their standards are, but you should have clearly defined standards for how your clients treat you, for how partners work with you, the quality of the work you deliver, and the boundaries around your time. So, all of these things are areas in which you should consider how you want to be treated so that you have a baseline for any scenario that comes up where you can just say, you know what, this does not feel right. I'm not going to proceed. I don't want to give it any energy. So, for the boundaries within your business, we want to look in two separate buckets. So, first of all, is your client boundaries. So, you want to have a clear scope of work. You need to have an understanding of exactly what you need to deliver to your client and when. And then you also need to have a communication expectation. So, if your clients are able to call you all times of the night and they're expecting a response, then there's a good chance that you need to set boundaries around that communication. Same thing with payment timelines. You have to be very specific about when you expect to get paid and also your late payment boundaries. For referral partners, it's a matter of mutual respect for time. So, we're talking about referral partners, collaborations, any marketing partners that you work with, anybody that you refer clients back and forth to each other. You want to make sure that you are giving a clear expectation of how much time and energy you're putting into something, as well as the result that you expect to get back from it. You also want to make clear expectations for, if I'm sending you this many referrals, I'm expecting this many in return. Same thing for a collaboration. If you're saying that I plan to bring in this number of clients on this collaborative event, then the other person has to make the same contribution as well. And then lastly, professional alignment. It's really important to get to know the people that you are partnering with and make sure that your values align. Your clients can see that, and sometimes the people that you work with become a reflection of you. So you just really want to make sure that that person's values are reflecting your own values. So overall, you want to make sure you're always clear and consistent about communicating your boundaries to both your clients and your referral partners in order to protect the business that you're building. So, how do you set these boundaries? So, for each of these areas, you want to take some time and sit down and write out clear boundaries for each one. So, for example, with your clients, you want to set a priority of when you will respond to them, when you will communicate, or even how you want to communicate, whether it's via email, text, face to face, any of those things. You want to outline all of that so that clients are aware ahead of time, and you're going to discuss that with them before you engage in any business. With pricing is a big one, especially when it comes to small businesses. A lot of people reach out to business owners for advertising opportunities or for donations and things like that. You really want to protect your pricing. You want to try to stay away from discounting your prices or giving things away for free on a regular basis. So you need to understand what that boundary is, maybe set parameters for when you would offer a discount or free items, and make sure that there's a frequency that you already have in mind so that you can avoid over giving without realizing it. Your time. This is a huge one, and business owners struggle with this so much because we feel like our time is pretty easy because it's not money. So our time is just whatever we decide to put into it, but your time is valuable. At the end of the day, you are only one person and there's only so much that you can do. So you really have to prioritize and set boundaries around your time. So what does that look like? One, how late are you going to bed? When are you stopping your workday? When are you deciding I'm not going to talk to clients anymore after this period of time? All of those things will add up to your own personal well being as well as the respect that your client is giving you. So you have to set the tone for that and make it make sense to you. Your work quality. So this is a big one. A lot of times, as a business owners, we don't really have quality control checking us for what we're doing, but you have to have that standard in place. You have to decide what is your standard of care for your clients, and you have to have your own internal quality control, your own checks and balances that will help you keep your quality consistent. That's something that a lot of people don't think about, and then they wonder why they're not getting repeat business. Well, there's a potential that your quality has been lacking. So you just need to find ways to make sure that you're always consistent in providing the best quality to your clients. And then lastly, communication. I kind of stated this with clients as well, but this is just overall communication when it comes to prospects or referral partners. You need to tell people exactly how you like to communicate. So whether it's via email, you're setting in your response line the hours and how soon they should expect a reply, or when you're talking with prospective clients, you make sure you highlight, I typically will get back to you in this number of days, and this is how you should expect to receive the response. As much as you can communicate clearly up front, it sets those expectations, those standards, and those boundaries right away from the start. Okay, so this is big. It's okay to say no to people and things. If you're running a small business, especially if you're early on, you feel like you have to say yes to every opportunity because you may not get another one. But the truth is if you say yes to every opportunity and you burn yourself out, you will not last long enough to get the next opportunity. So think about that very, very, very hard and long, because it's so important. I just see so many times people just saying yes to so many things that just doesn't make sense or align with their business. So I felt this was a huge one that I needed to discuss and make sure that people understand that it is okay to say no to things. So here are some of the circumstances that I've seen where people struggle with saying no, but I'm telling you, you definitely want to make sure that you do take time to say no or at least consider the possibilities. So if the client isn't a personality fit, so every client is not your client. I'll say it again. Every client is not your client. It is okay to turn down business because it's better for the client if they're working with someone who is the right fit for them. And it's also better for you and your mental health if you're not working with a client who is not a good fit for you. So, this is one situation where you want to understand yourself, be self aware, and know who you really would work with best. Like, who is your true ideal client, and make sure you stick with working with that person. Next is if you've already done the job to the scope that's been agreed upon and they ask you for something completely different. So, this shows you that there is a breakdown in communication, either how you communicate your product or service or how the client is perceiving it. So, this is important. Obviously, you want to make sure that the customer is satisfied. So, there's a fine line between those two, but you also want to make sure that you are clear and confident about the service or product that you have provided, and you can show the proof that you provided exactly what they asked for, and anything else would need to be an additional charge for your time. So that is a very tricky conversation to have sometimes, but you have to be really careful upfront again about your communication so that you can hold a firm no on this point. The last one that I see a lot is if someone's asking you to do something for free or at a reduced price. So again, when you're a small business, a lot of times people will come to you asking for things, especially friends and family members. Unfortunately, you would think that a lot of friends and family should want to support your business and not necessarily take away from it. But unfortunately, that is the case. A lot of times, people will ask you for things either free or at a reduced price, but you really truly have to stand firm on your value and knowing your worth. Do not discount your products unless, again, it is a standard or boundary that you have set ahead of time, and that ask falls within the criteria that you're already okay with. The second that you start to minimize your standards is the second that people will start to believe that that is truly the way that you do business. So every time you lower your standards, you train people to expect it, and then the exceptions become the rule. So, the final point that we were talking about is consistency and follow through. So, follow through creates results. I don't care what anybody says. Out of all of the things that I feel like make a successful business owner, consistency and follow through are the number one thing. You cannot have a successful business without those two things. So progress comes from consistent actions over time. So some of those actions look like weekly marketing efforts, regular financial check ins. So are you reviewing your numbers? Are you looking at your profit and loss statement? Are you following through on partnerships? So if you have someone that is consistently giving you business, are you returning the favor? Are you checking in with them periodically to make sure that they have everything that they need? Are you tracking your progress towards your goals? That's a huge one. A lot of people do not track progress. They just look at different snapshots in time and they make knee jerk reactions based off of whatever that snapshot is, instead of reviewing things periodically to see where the trends are, what things they could potentially do better based off of those trends, or what things that they could stop doing altogether based off of those trends. So, create consistent habits that are healthy habits for the success of your business. And if you repeat them on a regular basis for the long term, you will see growth in your business. So, consistency is a lot about self awareness. That's a huge thing that I've learned. The most successful business owners are very self aware. So, some of the questions that I've found that are helpful, even for myself to ask when I'm getting into those moments where things feel hard, or, I don't have as much motivation, I ask myself these questions. So, where am I choosing comfort over progress? This is a big one. A lot of times we want to do the thing that feels the most comfortable, but there's a good chance that if you are comfortable, then you are not progressing. So you are making a conscious choice. So we're kind of going back to the decision making, but you're making a, a conscious choice to choose your comfort over the progress. So think about those areas and figure out where you can start to create consistency around something that makes you uncomfortable. Is my fear of success sabotaging my consistency? So, fear is a four-letter word to me. I have struggled with fear the whole time I've been an entrepreneur. I've been doing this almost 4 years now. And what I have found is that fear of success is actually greater than fear of failure. Because if you fail, nothing really changes. You're still the same person, you're still doing the same thing. Yes, maybe you don't get the opportunity, but at the end of the day, you know what to expect because it's just going to be the same as it was. But if you succeed, you have to rise to the challenge. You have to produce, you have to be consistent. So, a lot of times, the fear of that, not knowing if people can live up to that, actually holds us back and we don't realize it. That's something that a lot of people don't want to even accept or admit, anyways. And then once you accept that, you can actually move forward. So that's a really good question that you need to ask yourself. Is it truly a fear of failure, or are you actually afraid of succeeding? And then, do I believe that I'm capable of being consistent? This is a real thing. A lot of people believe that they aren't capable of consistency. So they try all the things, but at the end of the day, if they're telling themselves that they're never going to be able to be consistent in a certain thing or a task or a project that they're trying to complete, if you're telling yourself that you can't do it, then ultimately you won't be able to do it. So you have to find a way to flip the mindset. And then, what is one area where I can practice consistency with minimal resistance? So, this is helping you take action within your business. So, the goal to consistency is almost like a muscle. So, every day you work out to condition your muscles, you do strength training, and each day that you do it, you'll get stronger. I believe that consistency is the same way. You have to practice it, you have to do it regularly in order to remain consistent. So you have to find the habits that you will have minimal resistance to doing daily so that you can start to build that muscle of consistency. So take these questions, make sure that you're answering them, and make sure that you're being honest with yourself when you are actually doing it. So, all of these things combined are the power of taking ownership in your business. So, when you sharpen your decision making, you raise your standards, and build consistency with your mindset, you are truly taking ownership of your business. Yes, you are the business owner, the person who created it. But again, over time, sometimes you can lose that ownership of all of the decisions and commitments that you made to yourself. So, utilize some of these strategies to help take back ownership. And in working with some of my clients, these are things that I heard both before and after making these small shifts to their business and changing the mindset. So, before taking ownership, a lot of times they felt like they were constantly putting out flyers, fires, and reacting to situations as they came up. They felt like their clients were dictating their schedule instead of the other way around, basically, just not having control over their time and their business. But after taking that ownership shift, they found that they decide how their time is used. They're able to dictate their schedule, when they're working and when they're not working. And their standards actually protect their business versus allowing people to kind of take advantage of them and the business or services that they were offering. So these are small things that you can do on a regular basis that can make major shifts to your mindset and ultimately increase your business growth. So the question I have for you is what will you do? Ownership doesn't start with just a huge change. It starts with the small little steps that you're taking. So a couple things that you can do in order to start making progress towards this shift is decide one boundary that you're going to enforce. And for most people, that big boundary is client communications. Like maybe you stop accepting client calls after 5 p.m. And that's the one boundary that you decide to enforce. One task you're going to stop doing. So after you do your 20% list to figure out, what are the activities that are actually wasting time for you, name one that you're going to stop doing or that you're going to delegate and start right away. The other one is one activity that you're going to do consistently. So maybe if that is following up with clients who had previous orders, just to check in with them and make sure that everything's going okay. If you want to pick one day a week where you're consistently going to commit to that so that you can potentially gain either new business from them or potentially gain a review, which is going to help get additional clients. Those are both tasks that if you do them consistently, they will add revenue to your business. And so I'm going to end with this quote. It's one of my favorite ones. I love Mel Robbins. I've read a few of her books. So focusing on what you can't control makes you scared, or excuse me, makes you stressed. Focusing on what you can control makes you powerful. And to me, that has been huge within my business. I, again, have struggled a lot with fear, a lot of anxiety, always creating these narratives within my mind about the way that things might go depending on a decision that I've made. But when I take the time and just focus on the things that I can actually control and the outcomes that I can create and the narratives that I can create, it's brought me so much more peace and made me so much more successful. So remember that when you're deciding what you're going to do. And lastly, if you took anything away from this, I hope that you'd make the decision to implement it right away. If you wait even a day sometimes, then it'll just go. The momentum will be lost. So I hope that you can implement some of the things I talked about with right away. And then if you feel like you need help and you want additional support in making some of these things happen, then I'm happy to help you. I am a small business coach, and my goal is to empower small business owners to be the most productive and effective business owner that they can be. So I'd love to support you. You can book a free consultation on my website, and we can chat all about your goals and your challenges. Thank you so much. Please subscribe to my newsletter if you'd like to get more content like this. And I would love to hear your feedback as well. This is my email address if you have any additional questions or concerns. Have a great day.